Now it's 2009. They take out their big guns. They start, then next hit, Bogota, Colombia. Oh, it just hits the capital and nowhere else. How interesting. Then Christchurch. It didn't affect the outside areas, just Christchurch. Now, I was just in China for 4 months. I talked to some university students whose professor said to them, oh, you know that town that we hear about that got hit so bad by the earthquake a couple years ago? Actually, there was much more damage, very close to it, at a secret military base, which the government never wants to talk about. But that's where the damage really was. That was a hit. That was a hit by us against a military base. So these, but now we get up to the Gulf. What happened? So every crisis now, you have to suspect, what is it? What happened in the Gulf of Mexico? Well, here's what we know happened. We know the media was censored. We know there's martial law. We know BP is in bed with the government. We know there's all kinds of cover-ups going on. We know that Matthew Simmons, who had testimony against BP, happened to die of a heart attack, quote, heart attack, the same day that BP announces they've capped all the oil. Some people are going to say that's a coincidence. I don't think so. It ends up looking like now that the Gulf oil spill was planned, organized, it's still continuing under a media blackout, and the reason for it was kind of like the swine flu. They got martial law out of it. The seas of the Gulf of Mexico are still under martial law. You can't be a fisherman and just go anywhere you want. Well, why not? The oil's capped. Haha. Still martial law. They have control over that nice drug running area, all the other reasons the military might want that area, they have it. They have the control of the Mississippi River. They haven't given that up. They are spraying a dispersant that makes the oil sink. The dispersant, as I mentioned, is called Corexit. It's very, very poisonous. When you compare it to the list of what is considered a chemical weapon, it meets all the criteria. It's 11 times more deadly when it's mixed with oil. There's the most research on this is being done by Deborah Dupre, D-U-P-R-E, who writes through The Examiner, which is an online newspaper. I recommend everyone here and seeing this to please get a subscription to her free articles. Deborah Dupre. You'll just get 1 or 2 or 3 articles a day. You can weed through them, but you will get cutting edge news. Her family's in the Gulf. Her family's from Louisiana. Her son, Josh Tickle, was a producer of the movie Fuel, which is all about renewables. He is now trying to produce a movie called Spill. He's been down there enough and been exposed enough to this Corexit that his wife is sick, has been sick for a month. This causes internal bleeding. It's a heavy poison. 8 out of the 12 activists who are trying to get the public aware of what's going on in the Gulf went to a beach together to inspect it that happened to be sprayed by Corexit just hours before. This was a hit. These people are all in the hospital. Okay, 8 out of 12. This is a heavy move against the American people. Corexit has been detected as far north as eastern Canada. It's moving up the Atlantic through the Gulf Stream. What it's going to do, what they're doing now, they're blaming some of the symptoms on H1N1. You're supposed to, oh, you have that symptom? Get a vaccine. Okay, this is my viewpoint, and I wrote an essay before I knew about all this, that the Gulf oil crisis is a blessing in disguise, is I don't think they can get away with this. I believe the people of the South, they have cell phones, they have computers. Media blackout or no media blackout, the word's going to come out that something shitty is happening in the Gulf. and it's bad, and it's being covered up. The cover-up is the big thing. My position is that all truth movements support each other. So, if you're a person in the Gulf and your family's getting sick and the government's saying there's no problem, you start doubting the government. And then when you hear someone doubting the government about Iraq or 9/11 or anything, you're a little more open to it because you know that they're screwing with you about this poison. So now all truth movements support each other. That's why I don't argue with different whistleblowers or with their style. Some people don't like Alex Jones because of his style, or Jane Burgermeister, or Deborah Dupre, or Stephen Greer. They don't like his style. They don't like his personality. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All these people, there's a huge list. I mean, David Icke, Rupert, and just there's so many people. And you can say things about them. But they're all questioning the official story. And that they all support each other. My position is the truth is innate, while the lies take a lot of energy to keep going. When you see a child come up, they're happy. They're happy. 2 years old, 3 years old, they're full of joy. Truth and joy, that's our natural state. And this repression of joy, this repression of truth, repression of spirit, takes a lot of energy. To create a slave state, they're trying to do it. It's taking a lot of energy, but they're going against the heart of the human being. All these soldiers, all these security apparatus people, they all have families. Okay, at some point the heart starts speaking to them. So you have oathkeepers.net, oathkeepers.org. Oath Keepers is a group of veterans who are saying, wait a minute, we gave an oath to the Constitution. We're not going to be a part of martial law against our own citizens. Not only that, we're going to stand up for our citizens if something so unconstitutional happens. So Oath Keepers there's other groups. There's Veterans of Iraq, small group speaking out against what's going on in Iraq. There's so many truth movements. They're all beautiful. And our controllers they're being overwhelmed. Whistleblowers are coming out of nowhere. Who the hell is Ray Songtree? Whistleblowers are coming up. Why are we coming up? Because we want to see the suffering end. And controllers, I don't want you to suffer. Okay? So now we get to this point. 18 months ago, 19 months ago, a new invention came up in the financial world. It's called, what is it called? Easing. I always forget this one. Something easing. It gives the right to someone, somewhere, to type in numbers into accounts. You don't print the paper anymore. You just type it in. It's not financial easing. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot. This is a new invention. They're so desperate now to keep the thing afloat because it's about to crash. And every month that goes by, there's 400,000 more people get their last unemployment check in this country. Okay, when enough people move in with their relatives, and enough relatives say, what the hell's going on here? How come you guys are still rich? When enough people knock on the door of the Fed, there's trouble for the Fed. Because the Fed, everyone remembers, is a private, that's what protects them from being immediately audited, is they're a private institution. But Bernanke doesn't want to be audited. Why not, sir? Okay. They are afraid. Believe me, they're afraid. And when their crimes come out, well, they have good reason to be afraid. I'm telling Nick at the break, I said, there's another thing that's happening. Great prophets are coming up. And we have a new generation of people who are connected by the internet. And this new generation, they're connected psychically in a way, through the psyche, in a way that we aren't. I just met someone who told me, oh, my son fell in love with a girl in Australia through Facebook. They communicated through Facebook for 9 months. He went there. They're getting married. This is a psychic connection. The way we all are is, if we have a bridge to someone else, whatever the bridge is, a handwritten letter, a telephone call, whatever, we can feel them. And now it's happening through the internet. The internet changes the whole picture on planet Earth. The internet erases all borders. It erases racism. It erases tribalism. And there's a whole generation who's come up with that, and they will not buy into the enemy thing the way we did. They can't. Their friends are all over the place, and they have this connection. Okay, so I have great hope for our youth. Great hope. And you ask where my hope comes from. I was in China. I want to cry. I met these university students. They're so beautiful. They're exactly like any American university student. There is absolutely no difference. They giggle about the same things. They talk about the same things. Everything's the same. And they're on the internet, okay? So what I'm saying, so this is collapsing, okay? This is collapsing, and the controllers are not in control, but they're going to pull out their crap. There's going to be some rough stuff coming through, and we all have to not be surprised, okay? They're thrashing about. And it's people with good hearts and goodwill who have a broader view, who have to reassure them, listen, we're over the eye for an eye thing. You're not going to get persecuted well, you might get prosecuted, but you're not going to get tortured like you might have in the past. There's an overview here. You need to come clean, and there's forgiveness waiting for you if you come clean. And that, they have to hear that, they have to believe it, and they will. How do I know that? Because I trust all the prophets of old who predicted this time. People think there's going to be some people think there's going to be a second coming of Christ. My understanding of this is Jesus has been working for thousands of years to come into the hearts of millions of people. The second coming is a rising tide of goodwill and love.